The effect social media has on formal speaking. This project was done by Ben Seibert, Brandon Truex, Ethan Tompkins, and Mohammed Al-Rashdan. In today's society, social media has a huge part in most everybody's life, and everybody acts differently on social media. Social media is a great form of communication between people who aren't together in person, and also provides tons of entertainment, so that's why it is very popular these days. And growing on social media, people have been using different words or terms to describe themselves or anything really. And this has been detrimental to the English language. Due to social media, the way people speak have been negatively affected because of the informal communication or oversimplified language in today's world.
The social media effect. Social media has caused some effect on the English language. One of the most outstanding things that has been seen is the meaning of the words have changed. The example used from the article is the meaning of the words befriended and friended. The article states that Facebook has altered the meanings of words which friended someone's adding you to their circle. Another thing the article states is how the use of acronyms have been a part of English that has caused the change. Most people could read LOL and subconsciously read it as laugh out loud. There is a lot of good information on this article that spoke on how acronyms have played a big part, such as somebody saying haha or LOL. It gave the idea of, you could tell by somebody's shortened speech what the idea that they had out there was, which has caused a lot of rifts in how the English language is perceived, and a lot of people have taken acronyms as such and added it into their daily speaking communication and whatnot. The generational gap. A piece of writing from the article written by the Language Service Direct states that there is now a seismic generational gap regarding how modern informal language is being used. Because of the use of social media, English experts are expecting that people will begin to lose some of the meaning of English language because of the use of acronyms and emoticons. The way that social media has affected the formal aspects of speaking can be seen very clearly. Just between the generations of our parent and current young adults, it is very apparent that the way that young adults talk amongst their peers and acquaintances, it is very different than what most young adult parents would. Social media has grown with the entire generation being able to shift the way that English is handled thanks to the influence social media has created. Just from a little personal experience, I can tell how there really is a difference in the way that I would speak with my acquaintances and peers compared to the way that my parents speak with their acquaintances and peers and co-workers and such. And I just do think that is because the kids my age and our generation grew up with being able to access social media and having the access of cell phones and technology that allowed us to learn how to use acronyms and emoticons and find ways to express yourself without using big words and kind of cheating out what we have been taught. How words have changed. In recent years, people have seen the meaning of words start to change. In an article written by English Live, it states that another curious phenomenon we've seen in recent years is the reappropriation of existing words and words based on brands to refer primarily to their social media contexts. This has made such an impact on the way that English has transformed. Social media has transformed words and phrases that had an original meaning and gave them a whole new meaning, which is the definition of appropriation, is taking something that has a meaning and changing it into another context to fit something else. So because of this, it has caused a little bit of miscommunication since the slang and meaning of words have changed. Slang is something that I've seen been used a lot. Just from doing peer reviews and reading other papers and having papers graded and returned to me by professors and teachers over the years. I've personally lost points and had many opportunities to have a better written paper, but I caught myself using slang and taking shortcuts of writing when I could have been just writing the information the correct way, but I was so used to the way that social media has influenced me that I reverted to the slang.
A new language. So, with social media, there has been innumerable amounts of communication and entertainment, and that has led to everybody using it. And with that, more and more language is being spoken on it, and it's kind of formed into a new language among younger generations. In a recent study of 2,000 parents conducted by Samsung, 86% of participants said that they felt teens and young people spoke an entirely different language on social media. Because of this, not only are people speaking more casually and informally, but it's also leading into generations not being able to understand each other as well. Most of this new language has come from something called slang. And slang is very common in social media, basically because it is it's easier and quicker, and you can come up with words that have meanings that are not really used in everyday conversation, but used in social media. And with more and more slang coming across, more and more terms are coming, and a stat actually showed that 25% of people who come across slang actually do not know what it means. And because of all this slang and people not understanding, it creates a very difficult time to communicate through people who aren't on the exact same page. We pushed out a survey to teenagers with a list of questions about social media and how it affects the way they speak. And one of the questions was, have you ever used words or terms online because of social media? 100% of teenagers said yes, and that just shows it happens to everybody. And another question asked was, do you believe that social media has affected the way you speak in person? 90% of people said that it does. And these are just simple stats, but teenagers are aware that social media is having an effect on the way they speak. Carrying on with the survey, 86% of people said they have talked differently because of a trend on social media. And this is just further backing up that the trends on social media affect how people speak. 100% of people said they have seen a word or term used on social media that they don't know. Rarely is this a real English language term that the person is unaware of, but it is most often either a term that's being used for a different meaning, or a made-up term that now has a meaning thanks to social media that people aren't aware of. And 100% of people said that they've seen people talking to each other using words or terms that came from trends on social media. So not only does social media have an effect on how people speak in their day-to-day life, it also has an effect on education. And it is basically because of the words that they get used to saying and the grammar during social media and texting each other, carrying into their daily life. Brandon Kessock, a high school freshman, said, I get so used to texting that I mess up a lot of easy words. Instead of what, I type what. Using my phone affects my grammar more than I ever knew. This is something that people may not know that's affecting them, but it could be. So social media has been taking a toll on academic writing, professionally and in a school setting, mostly because of the increased casualty and informality of texting that forms as a habit, and all these the bad writing habits and skills developed on social media carry on to academic and professional writing. So these are some examples of how social media affects academic writing. A lot of things: punctuation, grammar, misspelling of words, phrases for words that are not fully known by everybody. And all of these are things that are done on social media carefree, but they're not okay doing in an academic setting. And these bad habits formed on social media could definitely take a toll on your professional writing. So we know that social media has an effect on how people speak, both in person and academically. But the question is why? And a big part of it is how much time people spend on social media. And the more time they spend on it, the more likely it is to impact their life and they form habits from it. And this is exactly how that works when talking about social media and how it is impacting how people speak. So the language on social media is being formed as a habit to a lot of people. But what is this language? Quote says, "This language is characterized by its informal tone, use of slang, and brevity, with many words and phrases being abbreviated or shortened. It is a language that is constantly evolving and adapting to new trends and fads and is largely influenced by the current generation's culture and values." So everything that says that what the English that the social media language is not something that you want in an academic setting or talking face to face. It is just not the way the English language is meant to be spoken correctly. So, social media and the culture it has formed have also had an effect on public speaking. Public speakers have noticed a change in their audience. They have less eye contact and more focusing on laptops and the virtual world rather than what's right in front of them. And this may be because the attendants are either typing notes or tweeting updates, and this is not the normal public speaking environment that people are used to having. It's becoming more technology based, and as a speaker, it's very difficult when you're trying to speak to people and they're just on technology and you feel like they're not paying attention, even if they are. And social media is a direct impact and cause to this. Another effect of social media and its effect in public speaking is the lack of attention spans that viewers are showing. And this has everything to do with social media and technology and the quick entertainment that it offers. The brain just isn't paying, its attention spans are not as long as they used to be. And this does play a big role in public speaking and how you communicate with others. It's very difficult when you can only stay focused to what they're saying for a certain amount of time. So although there is lots of evidence that shows that social media is not good for your public speaking and communication, there are ways that it does make you a better public speaker. By things like practice, enhancing your speaking skills, and lots of opportunity for feedback and exposure to different types of people and audiences is things that can be beneficial when used correctly in how you speak to each other. So social media has invested itself in everyone's life, and that's not anything that's going to change. It's always going to play a big role in who people are from now on, but and social media does a great job of connecting people, but it also separates us. With all the communication going on online, it seems to form new languages, lots of barriers to communication that affects public speaking as well as academic and educational writing. And overall, social media plays a big role in making communicating in person and professionally a lot harder and less understandable for most people. So at the end, these are our references that we use as well as our appendix for our survey that we've conducted. Thank you for listening, and social media has an effect on formal speaking, making it more informal and casual.